The album, there are, I wrote a couple lines of it down. I don't know how you feel about discussing them, but for instance, on Just Like We Do, it opens with punk, the punk's not dead, well it's now. I wondered where that line came from.
It's just people commenting on kind of your success and
Right.
you know, sort of criticising the fact that you think you are a punk band and yet, you know, for instance, here we are in beautiful Amsterdam with the sun shining and some nice little coffee shop. You know, people would say that's a contradiction. That's just stupid. What else are we supposed to do?
Well, is that inevitable if you are...
It's inevitable if you're successful with it.
And then making the type of music that you do.
Yeah. What do you do, you know? It's like, I was in this for the long haul, to get as big as we can.
Right.
I'm not trying to make out I'm going to fucking, you know, stop doing it as some political statement. It doesn't work like that. Do you know what I mean?
And do you get a little, because, well, we live in an age of social media where there are a lot of opinions floating around. So do you get are you aware of that a lot? Or?
Yeah, and I used to get taken in by it, but now I don't. It's getting better. If someone's offensive, that's still I can't conduct myself very well if someone's offensive. I'm usually very offensive back, which is exhausting. It's quite a negative, and that's something I've got to work on. But as regards people's opinions towards what I do or what Andrew does, or collectively what we do in the band, and fuck them, you know.
Well, because I assume that's kind of the attitude you have when making music. But is it in the back of your mind how it will play out live, how people will receive it?
Yeah. You know, you want people to like it. Do you know what I mean? I think this album carries enough weight for people to not feel alienated who bought the last album. But we're in this to please ourselves, and that is, you know, that's the main thing. But at the same time, you want to cater for people that like it as well, you know.
I might suspect an answer to this question, but is there something that you want people to take away from your music?
That it's good music, you know. That we're a good band, a band that will be remembered, not forgotten, a band that have contributed to the treasure chest of classics. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You know, we haven't written a Stairway to Heaven or anything.
Sure.
But I'd like to think that we're a band that won't be forgotten. You know what I mean?
Well, this might be a difficult question to answer then, but where do you think you fit within that especially British tradition of music?
In the kind of same vein as perhaps the Jam or the Specials, and you know, all those street bands. You know what I mean? Sort of bands that were kind of connected to the idea of sort of various subcultures that have come out of England that necessarily don't exist anymore, but are vaguely connected to that kind of thing, you know, or just the idea and temperament of English people, you know what I mean, and the kind of music English people tend to make when they are, you know, talking about life, normal life, you know what I mean.
And this is then the question that kind of arises. Do you think that feeling, that sentiment of the British public is often represented in music?
Not really. Sometimes. I think we do it a bit. There's a few other bands. There's a lot of dance music that does it, I'd say. Grime does it. But on a whole, England's very much kind of strangled by corporate horrible stuff, you know, that really doesn't say anything. So yeah.
But because, well, you're on rough trade, which I believe gives you a lot of freedom to do what you do, but has that been a thing in the past as well, to kind of navigate through the industry? Was that a difficult thing for you?
You can do it, but you need to know, you need to have a good awareness of the infrastructure, and you need to have, you need to have sort of on-hand contacts. If you've got an audience, then you can build your own structure around that.
Right.
But we just felt that we'd got to a point where we couldn't go any further without perhaps somebody's help. Do you know what I mean?
Because, like you say, that you're in this for the long haul. So what is the ambition, so to say? Where would you like to see yourself go?
Just keep doing the same level as this. Probably go a bit bigger. I don't know. Wherever feels comfortable. Just to keep writing and be able to work and tour and release albums, moving forward really, for as long as the interest's there with it.
Right. And now in a couple of months you'll be heading over to America. And obviously you've played abroad before, but the music you make is also kind of quintessentially British with BHS. There's a lot of British references.
Yeah.
So how does your music, and especially looking towards America, how does it go over in other countries?
I don't know. It's the same way any American hip hop comes over to England, you know. The language is, a lot of the time, you can understand the words, but they're just in sentences that you don't understand. So I'd see it as that, really.
Okay.
I think the one thing we've got going for us, aside from that, is the music. It's addictive. It's in your face. You know what I mean? It's banging. You know what I mean? So people, it's in a way, it's party music in a way as well. So I'm hoping that people connect to that. You know, there's a lot of echoes of genres in there: punk, post-punk, electro, hip hop. You know, electronica. So I'm hoping that, as in Europe, people connect to it like they can connect to it like that. You know what I mean?
Because and especially with the live shows, then it's the energy, and like you say, the kind of the feeling, the mood that you kind of try to convey. I suppose. Yeah. So what is it like for you being on stage? Do you go?
Just go totally into it. Yeah.
Right.
You can't not. You know. So you just get immersed into it and make sure that what you're doing is connecting to what Andrew's doing and the way you've rehearsed it, you know.
And also, I read somewhere that there was a point where you would go on stage by yourself.
Yeah.
But then you'd like to have Andrew up there with you.
Yeah.
How come?
I needed someone else.
Okay.
I could have done it on my own, but I just thought it would look better with somebody else up there doing nothing, just stood there.
Right.
And I told him this a lot, and I think he just didn't want to. He didn't want to kind of endanger his own self with doing that. He didn't want. Initially, he thought it might be a bad idea. It would go against him. But in the end, he kind of came round to it.
But was that because I can't imagine it was a confidence thing for you, because of the.
No, well, it was never a confidence thing. It was like visually. I just thought it would be better if somebody else was with me. And I tried it with a backing singer once. It didn't work. He wasn't very good. So, you know, with Andrew just nodding and pressing play, perfect. The songs were already there, you know.
Sure.
I thought it was perfect.
And like say you like to go full into it on stage. What is your mood then afterwards, or even during? Do you get angry on stage because of it?
Get frustrated sometimes if you don't feel that people are enjoying it, or. But generally, it's complete. You're just obsessed with getting it right, so you're just into the mechanics of it. And you lose yourself in it, and you kind of forget about the audience. Occasionally you'll glance over, you know. But contact is minimal, really. People there to see you play, and a lot of people don't know what to expect, so you just fucking give it to them. Bang.
Right. What is the best reaction you had to one of your live performances?
All of them have been great.
Okay.
There's been a couple that have not been great, but most of them have been fucking great.
Do people afterwards come up to you and then?
Yeah.
So what is one thing you remember that somebody said to you?
No, just that it's always the same. It's people are. It's a mixture of, you know, genuine elation and thank God, you know, somebody's come along that is doing something good. And it's weird, isn't it? You wouldn't, you know, people connect to it even though it's a completely bizarre formula of one man on a microphone and the other one on a laptop.
Right.
But it's no different to two turntables and a microphone, is it, I suppose?
But have you thought about this? Why so many people from and then we talked about class earlier, but from all different types of classes, backgrounds, how so many people can connect to what you make?
Because people aren't stupid, are they? And wherever you go, I've noticed in the world, everyone's kind of fed the same shit. And the options creatively and for the masses they're not great, are they, you know? So, you know, we're kind of one of those bands that come along and there's no pretense, there's no nothing, it's just, it's everything that everybody knows.
Sure.
All bound up into one thing with, obviously there's an ability there to write songs, you know. You've got to know how to write a song. You know, and we've spent years doing it, and we do, you know, so it's all those things combined, I think, you know.
Finally then, because from where you started, we started with teachers face porn charges. How do you think English Tapas compares? How do you see the development of what you've been doing over the years?
It's a lot more, it's more spacier, it's not as jumbled, and it's a lot more, I wouldn't say confident, but more professional, perhaps. It feels like a professional album.
Okay.
I mean, the others obviously professional album,
sure.
But this one just feels more spacier, more song influenced, mature.
Do you know why?
Just because it just happens that every album you learn something new, subconsciously, consciously, and when you come to do another one, your set of standards has been formed by the last one, and then obviously life in between that, and you as a person growing, getting older, all of these things contribute.
And then, very last question, since those that first song, your life has I suppose improved quite a bit. But is that frustration still there? Does that just keep going?
Of course, it don't go away. You know, having a bit more money is, you know, money can't buy you happiness, as the old saying goes. It can buy you a bit of security, but it certainly doesn't buy any happiness. You have to make that yourself, don't you? So it's a constant struggle. So the frustration's still there, yeah.